The PS Vita is well over 10 years old at this point, and it still has one of the best libraries in terms of handheld gaming, so in this video I'm going to showcase a handful of PS Vita games you need to try out, with the first one being Risk of Rain. As of today, most people have moved on to Risk of Rain 2, but the first Risk of Rain still has a lot to offer. In Risk of Rain 1, you play as a survivor who has crashed on an unknown planet and he has to upgrade and collect items. The game itself is a 2D roguelike platformer that is highly addictive and one of my favorites on the handheld, so if you're looking for a new game to pour hundreds of hours into, Risk of Rain 1 is worth your time. And the next game is Hotline Miami 2. This one's a renowned top-down shooter that has a heavy amount of blood and gore. Hotline Miami 2 is a game that lets you pick your own playstyle, as how you choose to clear a level is completely up to you, and the game provides dozens of different weapons for you to try out. Also, Hotline Miami 2 has an insanely good soundtrack and it controls perfectly with the PS Vita's analog sticks, so if you're wanting a new shooter on the Vita, consider Hotline Miami 2. And coming in next, Deadbolt. This game is similar to Hotline Miami but from a 2D perspective. In Deadbolt, you play as the Grim Reaper who is tasked with killing zombies, vampires, and demons. The main premise of the game is to try and remain unseen, and that's because you do die in one shot. Overall, Deadbolt is another fantastic Vita title with great controls and music, so if you're in the market for a stealth platformer, consider trying out Deadbolt. And up next, Super Meat Boy. This game gave way to an entire generation of platformers and is easily one of my favorite titles on the Vita. In Super Meat Boy, you play as Meat Boy who is trying to rescue Bandage Girl. The goal is to reach the end of the level while trying not to die, which is a lot easier said than done. Luckily, Meat Boy leaves behind a nice red trail so you can see where you potentially went wrong, so while Super Meat Boy might not be the game for everyone, for those that do enjoy 2D games, this is an absolute must play. And coming in next is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. I always put this game on any PS Vita list I make, and that's because the Castlevania series contains some of my favorite games of all time, and Bloodstained Curse of the Moon does an excellent job at remaining faithful to the classic 2D Castlevanias with the original knockback and awesome music that many people have come to love. As expected, there is a boss at the end of each level which always mixes up the gameplay, and the difficulty can be adjusted, making the game great for anyone, so if you enjoy the classic Castlevania games, consider getting Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And the next game is Fast Striker. This title originally came out in 2010 on the Neo Geo NVS and was later ported to the PS Vita, and the gameplay itself is in a shoot 'em up style with a ton of great visuals and music. There are 4 different difficulty modes that make the game fairly accessible for players of all different skill types, so although some people might find this game kind of mediocre and nothing groundbreaking, it's still a great shoot 'em up on the Vita, making it easy to recommend for any fan of the shoot 'em up genre. And next up we have the Sly Cooper Collection. While many might be fans of the other collections on the handheld, I personally enjoyed this one the most as it does a great job at bringing 3 amazing platforming games onto a portable handheld. The original character voices and cel-shaded models all look great on the Vita's OLED display, and each game really shows off how far the series has come, so if you enjoy 3D platformers with a little bit of stealth, the Sly Cooper Collection is a really good choice. And up next, The Darkest Dungeon. This game won multiple awards for its visual style and RPG mechanics. The Darkest Dungeon is a tough-as-nails roguelike RPG that really forces players to consider all aspects of combat. Throughout the game, you will have to try and keep your party members alive, which can be very difficult when things like stress and lack of light start driving your characters to the point of insanity. Darkest Dungeon is a grim RPG that considers all aspects of combat mentally and physically, so if you're in the mood for a challenge, consider playing this one. And the next game is Shovel Knight. Now yes, this is another 2D platformer on the list, but it's too good to just not talk about, especially when the PS Vita offers such a great way to play it with comfortable controls and retro visual styles that look really nice on the OLED display. Shovel Knight is a proven platformer that not only delivers on what a retro gamer wants, but goes beyond that by innovating to create one of the best modern age indie games to ever release. So if you have to pick one platformer on the Vita to rule them all, Shovel Knight is a very strong contender. And so before I show up the final game on this list, I did want to showcase a few more common but honorable mentions. All these games are fantastic, but let's be real, most people know about all of these by now. Still, if you haven't had the opportunity to play any of these games, consider checking them out. And so moving along to the final game on this list, we have Odin Spear. For those that may recognize the visual style of this game, it was created by Vanillaware, who is responsible for a lot of very highly rated games, and Odin Spear is no exception to that rule. The game itself is a remaster of the original PS2 version, but it does everything right by bringing remastered visuals, content, and audio. The gameplay in Odin Spear takes place in a 2D setting that uses RPG aspects and the beat 'em up genre for combat. There's also a ton of characters and variety, so if you're a person who likes to play through a game multiple times, Odin Spear offers plenty to do. Overall, if you're wanting a game that provides endless hours of content, Odin Spear is a really fun Vita title. And so that concludes my list for now. I had a really tough time deciding on certain titles for this video because the Vita has so many games. I often found myself discovering new ones while researching for this video. Still, I compiled this list for now as a handful of unique games that I hope someone can get inspiration from. Down the road, I'm 100% going to be making more Vita game recommendation videos, so I look forward to playing more Vita games and fully exploring the library. Anyways, I just want to say thank you for watching this far. Please subscribe if you do like my kind of content, and I'll see you down the road. Bye.